Hi everyone, it's Patty Behan and thank you for watching me today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a bokeh background with some Dylusions paints, and I'll be using stamps, stencils, some water brushes filled with Dylusions ink sprays, archival ink. So let's get started. So I'm working in the Dylusions Square Ledger Journal and I have some stencils and paint here. And I just wanted to give you a quick look at what's inside this journal. It has these types of ledger pages and then there's dots on this, so it varies the different layout from page to page. And I think I'm going to start working on the dot page here. And to begin, I have some white linen paint and I'm going to squirt this out on my craft sheet here. And I was just shaking this up and put a little more down there. And then I have some vibrant turquoise next. And then some blue Hawaiian. And what I'm going to do is I'm making a water scene here, so I want to start light at the top, and I'm using a Dylusions 3/4 inch brush, and I have a cup of water here, and I'm going to dilute the paint a little bit. So I'm starting with the white linen up at the top and just about 1/3 of the way down the page, and then I'm going to use the next color, same thing, and I go back and forth to blend it together. And I want to make this about 1/3 of the page as well. And then I'm going to add the blue Hawaiian. And what I'm doing is I'm just going back and forth to add more color till I get the blended look that I want. It's under the water, so we want to start light to dark. And I just keep going until I get the look I want. Okay, that looks good, and now I'm back and the page is dry, and now we can go on to the next step. And what that is we're going to make our circles of color. I'm using a new stencil from Dylusions. It's Martha's Most Massive Matte in the small size, and I'm just going to start here with the blending tool, and I'm using like a lighter color, and then I'm mixing them together to get a darker version of the blues, adding some water. And then I decided that using the ink blending tool, I was getting it over the edges of the stencil, so I went back in with the brush instead. And I just go randomly making these circles, and I start with light colors first, and then as I fill the page I can add some dark colors and go over some of the other circles and overlapping the different values of color. And I'm just going to continue painting in the circles until I fill up pretty much the entire background. I'm kind of leaving the top center a little bit open, and then just go back and forth using different values of the blues mixed with the white and keep overlapping. There's no rule here, just so that you can kind of see that there's a variation of bubbles here. And once you go dark, you can add some more light to the top. And now I'm using the small coin stencil, and I'm grabbing a smaller brush here because the circles are smaller. And again, I'm just randomly using the stencil as my guide of where to put more circles, just to give it a little more variation and a little more interest, blending everything together. And then once that's done, we're ready to do our stamping. And I have here the Seashells stamp set. That's hard to say. And I'm using Black Archival ink. And I tore out another page from the journal. And I'm going to stamp it once, the full image, and then I'm going to cut out the fish for another image. So I'm just stamping that partially. And these sand dollars here. And then once that's done, we cut them out. And then it looks like this. And now we're ready to color them in. I'm using some Tim Holtz detail water brushes filled with Dylusions ink sprays. And you can color these any color you want. I'm using bright, vibrant colors so that it stands out against the blue background. And here I have some funky fuchsia that I'm coloring in with. Now I'm going to use some shaded lilac here. I love to use the ink spray pens. And this is pink flamingo. Now for this, I'm going to use some pure sunshine. And then a little bit of postbox red. Coloring it in with vanilla custard for the eyes. And that, add a little bit more pure sunshine. Now I'll do the eyes again in the vanilla custard. And then I'm using some dirty Martini and some mushy peas and cut grass here as I color in all these seaweeds. I start with the light color and then do a darker color on top. Here I'm adding some cut grass on top of the dirty Martini. And then we'll color in the fish with some pink gumball. And we'll go back to the tangerine dream for the fins. And I want to fill in these blank spots for the water. And I'm taking a water brush to lighten the color here so that it'll blend in with the background. And once those are done, we're ready to place them on our page and glue them down with a Creative Diary glue stick, like so. And before I glued all these down, I knew I was going to add some journaling. So I don't know if you could see it in the camera, but I penciled it in first, and now I know where to glue everything down. And then to finish off the journaling, I'm using a black Sharpie. And something to keep in mind when you're doing your journaling, the paint on this page wasn't totally dry, and it's best to let your pages dry fully and maybe overnight depending on your climate, and it will just be easier to write over the paint. As you can see, I have to go back and forth to get the ink to be a little more darker. So I'm writing a punny little corny journaling passage here. Remember this, any fin is possible. Don't ever trout yourself. Sorry, I can't help it. I'm just corny. And I'm just going back to darken up some of these letters a little bit. And let's add an exclamation point for emphasis. And then you're finished. You have this fun background that have these really vibrant images that makes everything stand out. So I hope you give this a try, and I want to thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.